about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right, we are back on Dr. Daliah Show. 1-877-Doc-Dali, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So do you have people in your life where just drama always surrounds them? I mean, I've had patients that would come in where I'm like, okay, something else happened. Okay, they're going to lay something heavy on me. And there's individuals that seem to always be surrounded by drama. Alec Baldwin, I think, is a great example. He's okay. He and his brother Stephen were in a car accident in, I think, East Hamptons the last couple days. I think it was yesterday. He blames a big fat garbage truck, but apparently he smashed into a tree, which I think he called a big fat tree, and he ruined his wife's Range Rover, but he's okay. His brother's okay. He thanked everybody for worrying about him. But Alec Baldwin is one of these people where there's always drama surrounding him. There's always something going on. And even if you're not a celebrity, I could think of a handful of people where there is just always, if something's going to happen or something, they're in the middle of it somehow, or they're just, I was there. And you go, gosh, what coincidences. I mean, you know, just all the time. But I've now that I'm a little older and a little bit more seasoned, I think I see what's going on. You know, you could interpret drama a variety of different ways. You know, and you could manage your drama a variety of different ways. Some people, they're very vocal about it and they're very open about it. You know, me on my show, I mean, every time something happens, you know, son's truck car gets towed, you know, 9/11, terrorist comes into the urgent care. I mean, you know, there's, you know, there. Sometimes if you're being open about it, talking about it, they're like, wow, you start to add all this up. Cumulatively, that's a lot of stuff that's going on. And you have many other individuals that kind of keep their cards close to their chest. Like, I'm not going to tell you every time something's going on. I'm not going to tell you if my husband's sick or my wife is sick. I'm not going to tell you if we almost had a near miss. And so you look at them going, gosh, you have no drama. Yet my life is so tumultuous. And, well, it's relative. Somebody's not talking about it and not being very open about it, then, you know, does that mean it never happened? And I see how some people deal with it. You have other individuals where they just, you know, they look like their life is going just perfect and you envy them. And then you get to peek a little bit behind that Wizard of Oz curtain and you're like, oh my gosh, how are you still standing? Do you need help? And so I think there's a fine line, or I think there's a middle of the road from those individuals where you hear about everything. Now, okay, in my defense, I do a radio show. I'm trying to teach you guys so you avoid the trauma or the drama. So both, you know, so I will let you know what happened, you know, to me, so you could say, okay, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make sure I'm not going to do that. Like, for example, this didn't happen to me, but it happened to a friend of mine where their car registration had their address in the glove box, right? They left the car registration in the glove box. Well, they also have a garage door opener. And some individuals don't lock the door to their garage door because they think the garage door is enough. I always lock my door. So car gets stolen, they go to the house, they hit the garage door opener, open sesame, they're able to walk in. The door to the house was not unlocked because they thought the garage door being locked was enough, and they get robbed. Now, that didn't happen to me, but I want to teach you guys about things like that so you're aware. Okay, don't have your personal information, you know, in your car. Don't have, in fact, my friend's daughter, actually, my friend's daughter, but my son's girlfriend also told me about that too, where she'll never, you know, keep any personal information in the car because somebody could just go into the car and steal it and then go to your house. So, you know, these are things I want to warn you about. So I know it seems like everything happens to me, but I think I live a pretty drama-free life considering. I just want to teach you guys and prevent drama in your life. But I think there's a middle of the road where you have some individuals where it just seems like everything always surrounds them, like Alec Baldwin. There's always something going on. And maybe it's because the media always wants to cover it, or he just gets himself just into these messes, like accidentally killing his head of photography on the set of Rust and shooting his director, which I don't really see him getting a lot of offers for movies lately after that, if you really think about it. But for those individuals who you go, gosh, they're really drama free. I have friends and family where they are just drama free. Maybe check on them, because unfortunately life is full of drama. It's full of cancer. It's full of heartache. It's full of breakups. It's full of financial ruin. There's a lot of, sadly, negativity type stuff. There's also a lot of positives. But those individuals who seem like, I'm okay, wow, what a drama king, what a drama queen. Yeah, I'm good. We're all good. Nobody's all good. I've seen enough of this with friends and family where nobody's all good. And, some people want to hide their drama, and I respect them for that, because you don't want to air out your dirty laundry. I mean, many of you have seen even my dirty laundry, literally, because I'm taking pictures of the animals and all that. There's something on the floor. Tell my husband, get your underwear off the floor. So, but I think the amount of drama that happens to somebody, I think there is an average, and we all get that. I don't think somebody is just always, I mean, unless they're looking for trouble. I mean, you'll have some people, they're always looking for trouble. Okay, there's going to be a fight, I'm going to go to the fight. Or there's going to be a heist, or there's going to be a robbery, I'm going to go there. Okay, those individuals, yeah, they might always be at the center of that. But the average person who tries to live a normal life, that tries to go to work, etc., they get caught in the drama. I've worked in places where I'm like, I'm not going to get involved in any of your drama. And they suck you in. You even get sucked into that. So have, barriers, have, no drama, no toxicity. I'm not playing into this. I know there's a clique, and there's a landscape or that I'm supposed to be a part of. But no, I need to reduce the drama in my life. And for those of you that do have a lot of drama and pretend you don't, talk to somebody about it, because it really helps you work through it. 1-877-DOC-DALI. Hey guys, it's Dr. Daliah. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our fantasy football pocket guide for beginners found on Amazon, or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's Fantasy Football Pocket Guides for Beginners. Don't be left out.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme, the solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit, and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dali, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So as we're seeing the hostages come home and be embraced by their family and the prayers, and it just makes you cry. I can't stop crying seeing, the cheer, and the love these families had, for their child that, or loved one that was ripped from them 2 years ago. There's going to be a lot of healing, and people ask what comes next. How do they get over that? Christina Amanpour from CNN had ridiculously said that Hamas probably treated Israeli hostages better than the average Gazan, which was, I don't know why she said that, where that would have even, entered her. I mean, ridiculous. And I mean, the thought of, somebody who had no problem killing, beheading, raping, and murdering in front of family members watching during the massacre, taking the hostages back. There is no way that they treated the hostages well. And you heard stories from the hostages talking about some of the things that happened. But obviously it's hard to talk about, especially some of the most barbaric, disgusting things that happened, such as rapes and brutal beatings and begging and how they made them beg. And so, the details, some might be very, very open about their details. Others, I think there was a woman hostage. She just can't talk about it. And I don't blame her. So luckily, we did get an apology from Christina Amanpour, who said that what she said, was, so basically she had said, it has been a terrible, terrible 2 years for them, because not only are they there, they're probably being treated better than the average Gazan. She said, because they are pawns and the chips that Hamas had. Once that went all over the place, she apologized, saying, earlier live on air, I spoke about what a day of real joy this is for Israeli families whose loved ones are finally being returned 2 years of horrific Hamas captivity, and for civilians in Gaza who have finally had a reprieve from 2 years of brutal, deadly war. She said, I noted that for the hostages who are finally home, it will take a long time for them to recover mentally and physically, but I regret, she says, also saying that they may have been treated better than many Gazans because Hamas used these hostages as pawn and bargaining chips. It was insensitive and wrong. Yeah, and I her, blatant anti-Israel, sentiment is it's no surprise. And so she did apologize, but the hostages that have come out and have been open with some of what happened and giving us a little glimpse where they were buried underground, had to dig their own graves, starved, beaten so badly. Anat Angrest told local media that he remembers being beaten so badly that he lost consciousness. They covered him. Let me see. And then our guest was an Israeli Defense Forces soldier that was taken from his tank near Gaza. And he told his family during the airstrikes, the tunnel walls collapsed around him. Many times they found himself buried in the dust under the rubble. And so obviously the end of this and the end of the war and the freeing Palestinians from Hamas is all good. And I'm not seeing that sentiment, especially not from some of the congresswomen who, and I don't want to name all the squad members' names, but those who still haven't come out publicly saying, who have advocated for ceasefire, saying, wow, this was good. Well done, Trump. We hopefully are finally achieving peace. The hostages are home. But when Agrest was confined, they say they confined him to a dark tunnel. He said several of the freed hostages were kept in complete isolation. Many of them didn't know if their brothers or loved ones or wife or partner were still alive. Broslavsky, 21 years old, was held alone. He told relatives he was starved, shackled, and forced to sleep barefoot on cold ground. The Hamas guards would eat in front of them while they went hungry. They would show videos of hostages being freed to torture those that are in captivity, telling them they're not going to get freed. I mean, just psychological torture, physical torture, nutritional torture. And then the parents of Alon Ohel said that his 24-year-old was shuffled around through the tunnels in Gaza and moved to serve as a human shield. You know, when the IDF said they were going to capture Gaza City, they were going to use him as a human shield. Remember, they had hostages in the early part of the war go out, appearing that they were going to attack the soldiers. The soldiers killed them, and they were the hostages. I mean, it's Hamas should no longer exist. And this 20-point peace plan that Trump has created with world leaders is will hopefully put an end to Hamas terror. Hamas will not be, from what I understand, will not be tried, prosecuted, or killed for what they did. They are allowed to leave Gaza and go wherever they want to go, which is, I don't know which country wants them. You know, these other countries have realized peace with Israel is very productive and is very advantageous for them economically, foreign policy relation-wise. And so to have a terrorist group that did such barbarism and created such mayhem that went on for 2 years, they're not the most wanted individuals. When people ask why we couldn't get the hostages out so quickly, why it took 2 years, why did it take Trump finally to be able to do this? Well, another hostage, Omri Miran, 48 years old, told news outlets that they moved him 23 different locations across Gaza. You know, he actually had to cook food for his captors without being able to eat. The captors liked his cooking, apparently, but some of them were kept in houses where they made Palestinians home the hostages, and some of them had felt very unsafe, obviously, because of and I don't want to go into all the rape and barbarism and I'm hoping that some of the Palestinian families treated them nicely. The question that kept being asked is, why aren't some of the Palestinians looking at the situation saying we got to help them? Why aren't they? But Hamas held such a cloud of terror. In fact, when Palestinians wanted to leave at the start of this war, we're told Hamas wouldn't let them leave. And then when food was being brought in and when aid was coming in every day from Israel, Hamas wouldn't let many of the Palestinians have access to that because they wanted to show starving Palestinians as a PR stunt against Israel. This is ridiculous. And by the way, Hamas could have very easily ended the war October 8th, giving all the hostages back and not putting Palestinians through the Israel-Hamas war. But they didn't. So what happens next? Well, for those who were affected, the recovery and going through the physical exam, the mental health treatment, it could take weeks, months, years. Some might never recover. And some individuals who have been freed, have been able to live a normal life. But then again, what are their nightmares like? How do they react? When somebody wants to be intimate with them, how they, I don't think you ever recover 100%. But you do learn to move on. Time does heal, all wounds. And the tincture of time is something we doctors, always rely on. But they're going to need a lot of help. They're going to need a lot of support. There's also a lot of soldiers, IDF soldiers who were killed, who have families that need support. And there are charities raising money for them. And then Gaza needs to be rebuilt. Gaza is on a beautiful piece of beach. Just 45 miles from Tel Aviv. The beach along the Mediterranean is exquisite, and Hamas has left it in ruins with tents, and there could be beautiful hotels, resorts. The rebuilding of Gaza and the freeing of the Palestinian from the torture and from Hamas is very, very promising. So I'm excited about the future. 1-877 Doc Dali.
Looking for a gift that can actually help secure someone's future? It's Mark Falter's new book, Common Sense Income Strategies. It makes the perfect gift for that special someone in your life. Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using time-tested strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. To learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Secure your future with Common Sense Income Strategies by Mark Falter. Again, to learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Doc Dali, 1-877 DOCDALI. So starting tomorrow is Medicare open enrollment. Now, Medicare's annual enrollment period starts tomorrow. It's one chance each year to make sure that your coverage still works for you. The premiums, the deductibles, the prescriptions, it could change each year. So you need to research now so you avoid any costly surprises later. People who are enrolled in original Medicare can choose complementary plans with additional benefits like Medicare Advantage, standalone drug plans, with many Medicare Advantage plans offering extras like dental care, vision, hearing, fitness, transportation, and even post-discharge meals. I am really excited to have back Gary Culp, Medicare Sales Managing Director of HealthSpring, formerly Cigna Healthcare Medicare, now HealthSpring. And Gary Culp is going to talk to us about the 2026 enrollment period and, again, give us some great advice. I love you, Gary. Thank you so much for coming back.
Dr. Daliah, thanks for having me back. It's great to be here. It's great to hear your voice, and thank you again for having me.
Well, so helpful. This is great. So talk to us about the Medicare annual enrollment period, the dates, and what we need to know.
Yes, so the Medicare annual enrollment period is a perfect time for folks on Medicare to kind of pause and decide, am I in the right plan for the upcoming year? Because this is a time of year where you can make a change if you'd like to. And the annual enrollment period runs from October 15th through December 7th. But what's important about that October 15th to December 7th period is that's when you can make those changes for the upcoming year for 2026. So it's really important for people to pause, make the consideration around what is important in terms of your plan coverage to make any changes for next year.
Exactly. And I always get asked, what, does Medicare coverage and then cover, and then what do the plans help cover that Medicare doesn't?
Sure. So when you think about what's important to you, and healthcare is very, individual in terms of everyone needing something a little bit different, and I like to have these conversations even with my own family members. So I, sit down with my parents and my mother-in-law and everything, and we walk through these. There's a few things that we look at. So one is we look at, what are the things that are working or not working for you in your current plan? Either doctors, specialists, hospital, in-network, or they're doctors or hospitals or specialists that you're looking for in-network. What medications are you covered? What medications are you taking, and how much are they in terms of the coverage that you're looking for? The third is around any additional benefits that you might be looking for. So, Dr. Daliah, you mentioned a few just in kind of your opening comments real quick, and that's things like transportation. So do you need help getting to and from a doctor's appointment, for example, because some plans will offer that? Or are you looking to continue your fitness routine for ongoing wellness and looking for a plan that includes fitness? Or things like dental, vision, hearing, things that may not be covered by traditional Medicare.
Right. And so obviously Medicare Advantage plans offer a lot of benefits. Talk to us about those.
They do. And so when you think about Medicare beneficiaries nationally, there's a vast majority that have elected a Medicare Advantage plan. And the reason why they have is because many of the Medicare Advantage plans are offered with no additional premium. And most of them are inclusive of both medical and pharmacy coverage. So when you're thinking about getting full coverage and, looking at those that are affordable, a Medicare Advantage plan is likely going to rise to the top in terms of an option for you. The other thing I consider is those things that I was talking about that may be very individual to what people are looking for in terms of additional benefits. So, for example, if you're looking for dental coverage, you're looking for a plan that has that dental coverage, or vision care, hearing care, fitness programs, that transportation to and from a doctor's office visit. And there's several other things that plans will offer that might be of interest to you as well.
Absolutely. We are speaking to Gary Culp, Medicare Sales Managing Director at HealthSpring. So patients will ask me, Doc, how much longer do I have to live? What do you think I'm going to need in the next year? And they're asking because I think they are concerned about what changes they have to make. So how do you advise them on finding the right Medicare plan for their health, their budget, their lifestyle? What advice do you give?
Well, the first thing is take the time to really evaluate what options are available for you and what's going to fit your needs best. And now is the time to do that. So that October 15th through December 7th period, the Medicare enrollment period, is the time to make changes for the upcoming year. And the things that, Dr. Daliah, you're probably having conversations with your patients, for example, that your listeners will want to take into account also is have a list of the drugs that you're taking so you can take a look at what's covered or not in plans. Have a list of those providers that are important. So which doctors, specialists, or hospital are in network so you can make sure it's part of the plan. And then anything else that you're looking for that is important to you. And those might be things like the vision or hearing or dental coverage that may be very important as well, so that we can help you in terms of navigating the right solution. And we're literally here to help. So you can contact us, toll free at 877-349-2897 or go to healthspring.com for information, and we can help you navigate what options are available either over the phone. We can get a representative to meet you in your home or office or whatever's convenient for you to make it easy.
Absolutely. And, one final thing. One of my listeners asked about how do you avoid scams? We're so grateful when you come on because you give people a safe place to go. What are some common things that people need to be careful of if there's some bad actors out there?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that we actually have to talk about this, but it's very important that people also hear it. And that is, look, we're not going to call, nor is the federal government going to call and ask for your Medicare number, your Social Security number, or personal information. So we're not going to contact you and asking for those questions. So if you get a call that asks for those types of questions, know that it potentially might be a scam and be very cautious in terms of what you share. I would also say go to trusted resources for information. So, for example, the Medicare program through the federal government has a website at medicare.gov. That's medicare.gov, which can help you with all sorts of information around Medicare, including the Medicare Plan Finder, which is an online tool that will do comparisons of different plans available within your area to help in terms of making decisions even during this annual enrollment period. The third is you can contact us directly, so you know that you're calling someone that's a trusted source versus someone contacting you. So you can contact HealthSpring at healthspring.com or 877-349-2897.
Wow, that is so wonderful. Thank you, Gary. Thank you and HealthSpring for all you do. Really grateful for the segment, and we can't wait to have you back.
Dr. Daliah, thank you so much. Have a great day. I appreciate you having me again this year and look forward to the next one.
Amen. Absolutely. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So I know it seems intimidating, going through and I'm not good with it either. I've got to come up with a new health plan. I'm not yet at the Medicare age. I'm getting close. And it's easier to just go, you know what, I'll just keep what I have. But things change. Also, your provider list changes. Gary brought up some good points where what are your medicines? What are your annual screenings? What are certain things that you need to do that might be different from others? And then the doctors you prefer. A big complaint I'm getting from patients is that their doctor is leaving, or their doctor's going to concierge, or their doctor's wanting cash instead of taking insurance. And it stinks when you lose your doctor. Nobody wants to lose their doctor. Now, we were promised with Obamacare we wouldn't lose our doctor, and unfortunately, many people did because the whole landscape changed. And so talk to your medical provider and say, look, I want to be your patient, but what do I do? Are there going to be changes? And then what's the best way to navigate those changes? And if they say, look, we got room for you, we'll make it work. We might have concierge fees, but we'll still bill your insurance for labs, et cetera, things like that. Those are some things you can work with or research. But if they're like, no, we're just going concierge, you're going to need to, look up who else takes Medicare so that you can make sure that you have a nice soft landing. 1-877-DOC-DALI. Don't go away.
Hey guys, it's Clyde. We've had a lot of requests for Ground Zero merchandise, so we put together an online store with a big variety of high-quality items. I'm really excited to let you know about these things. We have a lot to offer you and your loved ones. In addition to our regular apparel, such as t-shirts, beanies, hoodies, and hats, we've expanded our product line with posters, flags, aprons, mugs, and a whole lot more. We also have Ground Zero collectibles, along with a limited edition of items like a Clyde Lewis canvas portrait, a Ground Zero embroidered jacket that will certainly make for great gifts and for interesting conversations with family and friends. And we now offer publications such as Ron Patton's book about mind control, MK Zine, and back copies of the official magazine of Ground Zero while it was in print. Paranoia, the Conspiracy Reader, also coming in 2023, are updated and revised books that I've written. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. So shop today at our official store by going to groundzeromerch.com. Again, that's groundzeromerch.com.
Hey, America. How tired are you of mainstream corporate media's biased narratives and manipulated news? Their dishonesty and attempts to influence this generation have been exposed, put on display for anyone who's even half paying attention. But the New American Magazine has been an honest source of news and commentary for over 50 years. This is your opportunity to receive the stalwart of principled journalism at a deep discount. Picture a beautifully published magazine arriving at your doorstep twice a month, packed with insightful stories written with integrity. It's also available digitally on the New American's mobile app. Get up to speed with intelligent coverage from a freedom perspective. Right now, for a limited time, the New American is available to radio listeners at a 25% discount on a new subscription. Visit thenewamerican.com/radio25 and receive 25% off. Subscribe today at thenewamerican.com/radio25.
Back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So some of you asked me about how I feel about what's going on in terms of Pete Hegseth and the media. And I'm mixed, and I still want to get some more information on it. But before I go into what Pete Hegseth is doing in terms of having the media sign a policy, making unauthorized disclosures or banning military personnel from making unauthorized disclosures to the media, one thing I want to say that I've noticed, which I kind of like, is when I'm watching these press conferences with Trump, I'm hearing reporters be professional be cordial, not some of these gotcha questions, and asking things that I'm interested in. I know you're here to talk about the pharmaceutical prices, but how are things going with the ceasefire and the Israel-Gaza war? And I'm talking about past press conferences. And I'm like, okay, these are some good questions. They're not the gotcha questions, not I'm going to try to screw you over. They're actually questions that appear to be nonpartisan, just asking, what does the president want to do on this? Does he have an opinion on this? What has he heard? Can you clarify? These are things that the press are supposed to ask, and they're doing it. And I'm noticing, and maybe it's just because that's all we're seeing. Maybe there are some, aberrant. You said this, and can you explain why? Or you remember somebody came up to Trump in his first presidency saying this woman or somebody's accusing you of sexual harassment. And while he's talking about, briefing the press on something else, and he goes, who? Let me take a look at her. So they show him a picture on his phone of who's accusing him of sexual harassment or sexual assault. And he goes, no, and definitely not my type. And then goes on. And I don't think we ever heard from that person again who accused him. Trust me, the Me Too movement has helped many individuals be able to come out and express things that they felt they could never express and try to gain justice for bad things that happened to them. But on the other end, it also brought Me Too, and now the average person is not believed and doubted until proven that they were assaulted. And so that during that time, while Trump is giving a press conference, he asked to see what the woman looks like, and he goes, "No, not my type." And so you're starting to see, you're starting to see a more professional, relaxed, structured. It's really interesting because I have a lot of friends in the liberal media, and they were actually happy about Trump being elected because now they're going to get content from the White House. With Biden, he never held press conferences, rarely. It was very limited. Karine Jean-Pierre did the best she could with such a limited, amount of content and covering for the president. And that became a debacle. And so, people were asking, where is he? Is he alive? Is he well? What's going on? And so I'm noticing, and maybe it's just because this is the presidency, where there's so much transparency. They're all right. We're going to be helping kids with cancer. We're going to be putting funding to cancer research. Here are some kids. Here's the family. But I'm here to answer questions. And he would answer questions, even if it had nothing to do with pediatric cancer. And so those are things that the press likes. And so I'm noticing that if he doesn't like somebody who tries to do gotcha questions, or he either makes fun of them or he doesn't call on them. And I'm noticing people are now treating him more respectfully. Now, I don't want limitation of the press. I don't want to see First Amendment rights affected. But I do believe that if you are in the press, like me, I have a duty to, if I do ask a question, that I do it in a respectful manner. I don't try to bias it. I don't try to trap them. I'm not working for a tabloid. It's to educate the public and to convey information from that person I'm interviewing to the public in the most professional, respectful manner, and with integrity as it pertains to accuracy. So it'll be interesting to see what happens after Trump leaves, in 3 years. But I'm noticing some much smoother press conferences, and he doesn't seem to do it in the press briefing room. He'll do it. His press secretary handles that, but he'll do it from the Oval Office. He's sitting there. He's relaxed. He's answering questions, and boy, does he take questions for a long time. Now, Pete Hegseth has threatened to strip news organizations of their Pentagon access. unless reporters agree to a new compliance policy. Now, the Department of War, or the Secretary of War, has ordered, because it's not called Defense Secretary now it's called the Department of War, has ordered all journalists with press access to sign an agreement which bans military personnel from making unauthorized disclosures to the media. Now, they say reporters who don't sign the agreement by tonight will forfeit their press badges and clean out their desks. Now, what prompted this? Were there leaks? What's going on? So what this does is it limits reporters from communicating with military sources and declares that asking personnel to make unauthorized disclosures would not be protected under the First Amendment. So this is Daily Mail giving commentary on this. But they said journalists will be barred access to large areas of the Pentagon without an escort, and a press pass can be revoked for any reporter who asks staff for information that wasn't approved for release by the Secretary of War. Now, I know people are thinking that nobody wants to see anybody lose their press badge, but looking at this going, don't they already have a media policy in place? I worked at academia. Their media policy was really strict. You couldn't just walk around. You couldn't just ask somebody. Any questions had to be funneled through the media department. So I am a little intrigued by how journalists are able to talk to random personnel. Now, I understand that leaks have been like, look at what happened with the Roe v. Wade, and leaks have to be controlled. We can't have somebody give false information, and I think the Pentagon and the Department of War is dealing with a lot of sensitive information, and so limiting sensitive information going out, but that is on the Department of War. With media, I'm surprised that they have desks and access and I get it. If you're covering so much there, you might as well camp out there. But I'm surprised because with academia and a lot of places, media is allowed to camp out there. They have a question, it gets funneled and directed. In fact, when I worked for universities, they had said, if any member of the media contacts you, you are to immediately direct them to the media department. And so that's just how you do it, so you don't comment on something and misrepresent. So I understand the reasoning behind making sure that there isn't random interviews or people getting, ambushed to give an answer to, when the Joint Chiefs of Staff are walking around, or generals or assistants, or they shouldn't be ambushed by journalists. So there is supposed to be decorum, but I'm confused as to what exactly the specifics are because none of the media outlets, including Fox and Newsmax, want to sign this. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, don't go away. Hi guys, Dr. Daliah here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdaliah.com. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.